Hi, and welcome to All About Bottom Growth, Episode 2. I'm Jack. I'm a transmasculine non-binary person. I'm an adult content creator and an erstwhile educator. And if you want to know more about this series, I strongly recommend you check out the previous episode, number 1. But basically the lowdown is I crowdsourced a bunch of people's questions about bottom growth, and now I'm answering them. So last episode we went over kind of the basics as well as a couple fun questions. And today's focus is when it happens. We are going to start, not finish, but start unpacking your questions about the actual process of bottom growth, verb. So let's get started. Here's our first question today. How quickly did you notice the growth and did it affect your sexuality? I'm going to answer the latter part of this question in a later video, but I personally experienced bottom growth in about the 6-month range. Keep in mind, I was also on a topical gel at a low dose while taking finasteride, so I am sure that impacted my experience of when bottom growth happened for me. I experienced a lot more about a year in when I switched to taking testosterone injections. Now that being said, community members, I'm sourcing this from my experience on Reddit, have reported noticing bottom growth in as quickly as the first week of starting T. I have seen this reported both from transmasculine people of all kinds, as well as by cisgender women who are using testosterone to grow their clits. However, other people have reported taking years to notice any significant growth. Which brings me to the next 2 questions. Do genetics affect how big it can grow? Is there any way to tell how large it'll end up as I develop? Great questions. Yes, genetics are the main factor, but getting more into specifics and predictions about an individual's dick prognosis is impossible due to lack of scientific research. Some people are what are called high responders and have some kind of hormonal sensitivity ingrown that makes their bodies very responsive to androgenizing effects of hormones, while others simply don't experience that. And there is no way right now to know until you try. I will say from my experience moderating Transmasc specific subreddits for adults, so where guys are sharing their dick pics, the largest bottom growths, which sounds weird, that I've ever seen have belonged to people who are on the intersex spectrum. So therefore, these people reported that they already had a larger than average clitoris before starting testosterone therapy. Some people have all the luck. However, there is still a huge range of results from people who would not be classified as intersex, so my previous point still stands. By and large, it's a genetic crapshoot. A lot of people had questions about the time of growth. How long does it typically take to start or stop growing? Does it continue to grow after a year on T? When does the clitoris stop growing, etc., etc.? Basically, when does the active phase of bottom growth stop? To that I say, we also don't know. But anecdotally, again being sourced from trans men and transmasculine people who have been on T for many, many years, it seems to wrap up usually in about 5 years, much like cisgender puberty, with periods of active growth punctuated by the little guy just chilling. So you may go through months of growth and then months of not really a lot of growth. Okay, lots of questions about high versus low doses of testosterone and how that affects bottom growth speed and size. 2 factors come into play here. 1, as we already discussed, genetic factors are huge. Some people are high responders to hormone therapy and some are not. Some people are intersex. One person's low dose may be another person's high dose. This is why it's important to get your labs done every few months so you can correlate the dosage you're taking to your testosterone blood serum levels, to the effects you're experiencing. You want to know how they're connected for your body, so get the labs done. 2, a lot of transmasc people new to transitioning think that by loading up on testosterone, they can speed run transition. Unfortunately, there is kind of a big speed bump in this plan. Namely, if your body detects too much testosterone, it will start converting it. to estrogen. By overloading your T levels, you can actually cause E levels to rise, thus reducing the desired androgenizing effects. Again, get your labs done and be patient. Second puberty is a marathon, not a sprint, and you will get there. You will get there. Be patient. Okay, you're thinking, Jack, can you please generalize? All right, I'll try. I think, and again, I am not an expert, but I am a guy who's transitioned and have also spent an ungodly amount of time moderating Transmasc adult subreddits. I think lower doses can result in slower growth, with higher doses resulting in faster growth. I also believe that over time, these matter less because one will eventually reach some genetic potential point and growth will cease, no matter what the dose. So if you're considering a low dose of T and you're worried about stunting your bottom growth, I wouldn't sweat final size being affected by that. I think you're gonna get there no matter what. Okay, let's do a couple softball questions. Does having a hysterectomy have any effect on your ability to have bottom growth and get hard? No! Yay! Removal of the uterus and even the ovaries, fallopian tubes, the cervix should have no effect on androgenizing hormones and blood flow to the genitals. Yay! Can you still get bottom growth after having your clit buried at the base for phalloplasty surgery? This will depend entirely upon how long you've been on T. This is essentially the previous question of how long does bottom growth continue? So if you're considering getting bottom surgery, particularly this kind of phalloplasty, this is absolutely something you should discuss with your surgeon. I'm not a surgeon. I'm not a doctor. So take my advice with a grain of salt, but yeah, this would depend on how long you've been on T, and you should discuss that with a medical professional. This is such a popular question, and it's a controversial one, not like in a discourse way, just in a we don't know way. So are creams and gels that are dosed like shots but applied directly to the area going to provide better results? No one knows! A lot of guys swear by direct application, but a lot of endocrinologists and trans specialists insist that systemic hormone application, so topical gel, shots, etc., will have the exact same effect. The reason for the bro science of like, yes, it should affect it more is that some people have noticed when they apply a topical gel or cream meant for just systemic use to certain areas, for example, on the leg or the shoulder, hair growth occurs in that area. So maybe the effect of T is being heightened in some way. So that is the logic behind the bro science. I will say it's completely unstudied as far as I'm aware of. If anyone knows of dick size studies going on, drop it in the comments. People would love to know. In this case, I'm inclined to trust the experts on this one, but take it with a grain of salt because we're on the cutting edge of medical science as trans people, and our community does a lot of citizen science. So finally today, I want to touch on this because it's such a great point. If you are heavyset, your bottom growth is going to be less visible because the pad of fat that exists on the pubis is going to hang lower than on someone who is less heavy. This is the same for cis men too. It's just how the body works. Fat is squishy, it moves around under the skin, and it can make your dick look shorter than it is. Do not feel bad about it, please. Your bottom growth is still gonna be fun and affirming and pleasurable, and people are still gonna like it, and you're still worthy of love. Fat bodies are beautiful. Something to be aware of when you're assessing progress and comparing results to others. Also, just as a note, comparison is the theft of joy, so don't worry about it. Okay, y'all. I am done talking for today, but don't worry. I have so many more questions to answer. I'm really loving the series and loving the feedback I'm getting from y'all, so please keep it up. I feel the love. if you enjoyed this episode, if you found it useful, funny, you like looking at my face, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of my videos coming out, please hit the subscribe button. If you want to see where else I am on the web, because I post a lot of different content, not just educational or unboxing stuff, go to my website. It's in the description. It's jackquicksilver.com. And finally, it's my birthday this month. So if you just like are feeling generous and able, I know it's a hard time. It's a hard time right now in the world, so I do not expect anything. But I have a wish list at throne.com/jackquicksilver, and that would really make my day. And maybe I'd make a little video about it. So yeah, I hope you have a great day wherever you are, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Ciao.